It had been over a year since I had been promoted to the warden's position. My staff was almost like one big family. We have not had too many problems with the inmates lately. The programs involving the schools, religious services, and recreational programs were paying off in full. Many of the inmates had too much involvement with these programs to screw up too badly. The inmates I was concerned about were the ones in maximum security cells. Along with bad man Benton, there were some other jokers housed in the 3 cells in that area. The most cunning one was a 24-year-old dude named Jim Lewis. Lewis had robbed an armored money truck in which he had killed the 2 guards. He had escaped from the courts on one occasion and gone to the state of Florida, where he was one of the men on the FBI's most wanted list. He was recaptured and returned to the county jail. I had briefed the staff and explained in detail how I wanted this dude handled. No way was I going to allow my man Lewis to get away from me. I considered keeping the inmates from escaping the #1 priority with this job, and my reputation was at stake dealing with these jokers in maximum security. I believe some inmates enjoyed themselves so much in jail that they didn't want to leave by escaping. They would even snitch on each other if something were about to happen that could jeopardize some of the activities they enjoyed. One evening, Director Moore and I were in my office bragging about how good things have been going in the jail lately. All of a sudden, there was an escape code on the walkie-talkie. There came a phone call from the basement of the jail from an officer stating that the lieutenant and some officers were captured by the inmates in maximum security. The director said,
"That's Jim Lewis and Benton's bullshit, I bet."
I commented, "Yes, but how in the hell did the damn lieutenant get captured? He is only supposed to open 1 cell at a time, and he should have 3 officers with him, which gives him 2 officers to 1 inmate." I said, "Let's go." The director and I headed to the basement to the maximum security cells. When we arrived at the maximum security area, the 2 iron bar security doors leading to the cell area were locked. The officer with the key was hiding in the chapel. He was a new officer and had started in the cell area with the lieutenant. Since he was the man with the key, he was the last one to enter the maximum cell section. He saw what was about to take place and ran for cover. After seeing all the inmates out of their cells, he had received a hard hit across his face with a heavy chain, which was used to tie around the cell doors as extra locking measures to ensure these jokers stayed locked in their cells. When we arrived at the maximum security area, we did not see anyone at first. I sent some of the officers who had come to the emergency call around to the back of the chapel through the yard. That is when they spotted the officer who was hit in the face with the chain. They sent him out of the chapel to where we were waiting for the gate to open. When Officer Hatch arrived with the key, the director had climbed onto the iron gate and was hollering and shaking the hell out of the gate. He seemed to be in a state of craziness when he saw Hatch's busted face and all that blood on his face and shirt. Mr. Moore started screaming at the top of his lungs,
"I'm going to kill these motherfuckers. Look what they did to my officer."
After I opened the iron bar gate, we discovered we didn't have the key to the solid iron door with a small glass window in it. I was getting ready to send for the locksmith when Smitty came through the gate with him. Smitty and the locksmith had an extra key and a cutting torch. Old Smitty always knew what to do. No one had to tell him anything. He could read my mind, I believe. I wanted to try the key before the locksmith had to use the torch. The key would be faster. So how did the lieutenant and the officers get captured? Well, the lieutenant had gone into maximum security with 3 officers to clean the cells and allow the inmates to take showers. Instead of having 2 men in 1 cell shower, lock them back up, and then go to the next cell, he decided to open all cells together to save time. The lieutenant told 2 officers to open the cells while he and another officer went to get one of the maximum security inmates who had just come back from court. When the lieutenant and officer came back with the court return, the two officers who were supposed to be monitoring the showering inmates were hog-tied to a chair. As Officer Hatch opened the door to allow the court return and Lieutenant Charles into the cell section, the lieutenant was pulled in and thrown to the floor and a razor held to his neck. Officer Hatch, a tough ex-Marine, pulled back out of the grip of one of the inmates and took a hard rap across the face with the big chain before he fled to safety. When we arrived, I told Crazy Sergeant Mack, who was holding the .45 caliber machine gun, to put it in the window and act as if he was going to shoot inside at them. One of the inmates was standing in front of the door with the regular key stuck in the lock, preventing me from getting the extra key in the slot. They told Mr. Moore,
"We want the press out here and want you to make a deal with us if you want to get the hostages back."
Mr. Moore told them,
"The only deal I will make with you, if you hurt my men, is that you'll regret it."
The crazy sergeant came over with the machine gun. I said in a low voice, "Act as if you are going to shoot when you stick the gun to the window." The fool put the barrel of the gun to the plastic glass window, cocked the gun to act as if he was going to shoot, and fired off about 4 or 5 rounds. The machine gun sounded like a cannon exploding in this small concrete area. I don't know where the bullets went. At least it didn't seem as if anyone was hurt or hit. The inmate holding the key ran back out of the way of this damn fool, and so did I. I came right back to the door and put my key in this time. The sergeant said,
"That will show them something."
I pulled the maximum security door open and all hell broke loose. The director was the first one inside, followed by me and over 30 officers. Mr. Moore yelled to an inmate,
"Where are my men? What did you do to them?"
Now, what happened next? Well, got a bit violent in order to gain control, so you'll have to read about the details in my book. Just know, we took care of business. Let's just say, for the violent things Bad Benton, Jim Lewis, and his friends had done to get them locked up, karma was coming back for them. Smitty and I started getting the officers to back off. We pulled the 6 inmates into a pile in a corner of the small day room. We stood in front of them so no one could hit them anymore. The inmates had learned a hell of a lesson that day. At least they knew there were no deals to be made, especially while we were in charge. For more stories about how me and my crew overtake the Cook County Jail from the barn bosses and their honchos, check out my memoirs in the book series Cook County Jail, Barn Boss, and Warden Story, available on Amazon. Also, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel for even more tales of action, bravery, and strategy that turned chaos into order.